Welcome to the video of reviewing these two knives, their price range and competition. And as the title suggests, these knives, based on the international market for knives, these are too good for their price range, which is exciting and hopefully can serve as an incentive for the large, the big brand names to step their game up. I'm talking about knives that are regarded as the best and class-leading knives in the industry, whether it's the blade work, the handles, or their sheaths, etc., or the combination of. Long story short, these knives are in the price range of 100 to 120 USD, including their exceptional leather sheaths, and the steels they're made out of are tool steels and super steels, on par with CPR 3V, for example. And later I will read the steel composition and the use cases for these steels. So I won't get into the details and promote the company, just because I don't want to be biased and I don't want to point any one company out. I just want to show these are done by the same company, and it is not a Western company. It is a complete opposite of Park River on the other side of the globe, for example. So these are about 100 to 120 US dollars. The top one with a green micarta handle and what they call a gun grip scale here. It is done, it's 3D, it's exceptional. I'll later show with closer zoom the details on the handle. But this is micarta. The steel on here is a CPR steel, and on the other one it is N690 steel. The quality, let's start with this one. So let me put that aside and spend a couple of minutes on this beauty here. This is a bushcraft knife. It was designed specifically for bushcrafting purposes. It has a full convex blade grind, which means that it is not a flat grind from the spine to the edge of the blade. Rather, it is convexed, so something rounded off rather than straight edge, and that gives a number of advantages in bushcrafting, in the way it slices, the way it feather sticks, and also the ease of sharpening of this type of grind. So for bushcraft, this is a very useful grind. The back of the knife, the spine, if you will, is sharp and strikes a mean fire steel, produces very good sparks. The brass pins and a brass lanyard hole. The scales have red liners, as you can see, but now let me focus on the scale. This is 3D. It's done by a laser, from what I understand. This is not handwork, but handwork is of course involved, in the shaping of the handle, etc., finishing work, and most importantly, there's a lot of all this is done by hand, this type of grind. This grind actually follows on their other knife as well, and even though on these camping and outdoors knives, they do have some other grinds. They've started concentrating more and discovering the benefits of the full convex ground blade. So that's what they have been doing in the last couple of years. Anyway, the shape of the handle is the well-regarded Coke shape, or similar to the Coke shape, with the exception that it does not flare out, rather it just goes flat or even inward at the end, and that helps out with pinch grip and lateral movement and leverage on the knife. This is a bushcraft specific knife, and as you can see, it doesn't have a large finger choil or finger guard, and the choil here as well facilitates ease of sharpening, and the way you grip the knife, the cutting edge of the blade is as close to your finger as possible with a finger guard. Now, if there was no finger guard like on Puko knives, you could get up very close, or inclusive of the handle. I mean, you can also get up close here as well, depending on how you hold the knife. The shape and the quality of grind is again exceptional. I spent a long time on both of these knives trying to find quality issues and some sort of inconsistencies in their proportions, in the way they're ground, etc. And I was shocked because I wasn't able to find anything, and that is very rare in hand-produced knives or hand-finished knives. But this company is clearly able to do that. And again, this is a $110 to $120 knife. Now, if I compare these to a very popular Tops Brothers of Bushcraft knife, this is carbon steel, so it loses immediately in terms of value against CPR steel. And really quickly, actually, let me read you the composition of CPR steel. I pulled up an article. What is CPR steel? CPR material is a special cold work tool steel that contains a high amount of chromium, molybdenum, and vanadium in a lead-butyric structure. I have no clue what that is. CPR steel exhibits high wear resistance thanks to its secondary hardenability. CPR cold work tool steel allows for CVD or PVD coating, and it's also excellent. It has excellent dimensional stability. What is the hardness value of CPR material? The surface hardness of CPR cold work tool steel can be increased up to 64-65 HRC through the surface hardness of CPR cold work tool steel can be increased up to 64 or 65 HRC through nitra dyeing and oxidation processes. So it's not a simple tool steel. It has a complex manufacturing process, but the end result is a great steel for knives, and it has recently been widely used for camping and survival and bushcraft type of knives. So long story short, it is a high wear resistant tool steel, and also has good corrosion resistance. None of that is present in the carbon steel 1095 Brothers of Bushcraft knife. I understand they make an upgraded version of this as well, which goes up in price, obviously. I'll try to find links and post them up here if the prices are available on Amazon or on the large knife retailers, the common ones. just for you to have a price awareness of what we're talking about, right? So this is a Kydex, and a very good Kydex sheath for a Kydex sheath. Has this fire steel, a good one at that. It's their proprietary design of fire steel, and what I actually like about that is that the retention is not based on the width of your magnesium or fire steel, because this will wear down during use, right? But the retention here is based around the base of the fire steel. So regardless, even if you work it down that way, it will still hold in decently, but I've still added rubber around it. Anyway, this is rotatable, so for a Kydex sheath I don't have any complaints. On the contrary, this is a good Kydex sheath. But for production value, in terms of production value, this may cost maximum $5 to produce, whereas the very nice thick and soft leather sheath that this knife comes with, there's just no comparison. And not just to a Kydex sheath. I have expensive knives, as I'll get into later. I'll show you European production, US production, supposedly very high quality sheaths that just none of them come close to this. And that's not disappointing at all. It's actually, as I said, it's an incentive and inspiration for the other brands to catch up, because this is your competition, and so far you're losing. So the blade toughness, well, this is a thicker blade, but this is a superior steel, so under question. In terms of bushcraft use, this is much better than the brother of bushcraft. And if you understand much about bushcrafting, you'll understand what I'm trying to say here. This has gimmicks, and plenty of them. For example, I understand that it's a carbon steel, it rusts, so they had to coat it, and they did coat it. Fine, at least leave this. This doesn't serve much function other than it's a bit rough. Actually, it's not a good I forget what you call it, this area should actually be ground, ideally, for striking the fire steel or for scraping kindling, etc. The handle is not ideal here because it has 0 palm swell. And if you're going as far as spending time in designing pinch grip grooves on your scales, I mean, the first thing you do is your palm swell and the shape, and then details like this, because these are of secondary importance. If you're not able to comfortably hold and use the knife, then you're just not going to use it, and you will always gravitate towards something that is pleasant to use. So that's a missed opportunity. There is no palm swell, and they just decided to go with this. Is, I guess, the thickest point of the scale, and instead of grinding down materials and using a larger or a wider scale, they used a thin one. And this is very often the mistake that knife manufacturers do, is thin scales. And it goes as far as the Bark River Knife Company, because those guys are regarded as one of, if not the best, handle producers. And I agree in the Bravo line and in their flagship knives, but they have plenty of knives that are on the same, or should be on the same level. Again, I will show you. Anyway, so to show US production knife within the same not the same price range. The minimum price of a brother of bushcraft knife is actually about 10 to maybe $20-30 higher than this. Again, this is $110 knife, and this is above 120 anytime I've seen it. 120 and above, so there is no competition between these two. Let me bring in another knife. There is a good competitor to this actually, and a better one than the brother of bushcraft, because this is the Enzo D2 steel Enzo trapper, the largest trapper that you can get. So I believe that's 105 or maybe 100, I don't remember, 125. Yeah, I just zeroed that out. That's a huge blade. So 120 millimeters, 12 centimeters. The blade length is slightly shorter on this knife, but while the brushing, the quality, I mean, look at these lines here. Enzo has beautiful quality, flawless, very sharp spine. You can almost shave with this very sharp spine. Design and visual, beautiful. Again, red liners on black micarta or G10. This is more G10 scales, layered G10 scales. Beautiful in terms of visual. In terms of actual use, not a great design. The blade, sure, it's a Scandi grind. Unfortunately, still has a micro secondary edge, and that is done to make it easier for beginner sharpeners to sharpen your knife. But ideally, a Scandi means all the way from where it starts the grind, it should come to the edge of the blade. But as I said, the visual is beautiful, but actual use, there's serious issues with this. There is a palm swell, but the knife thickness, the handle thickness is still not enough for a good grip. It is a wide handle, so that increases the lateral stability and the leverage you can put on it, but in terms of comfort, these oval and more rounded shapes are much better than your wide, and these are all rounded here. Fortunately, I didn't have to do any modification to this knife, and I still don't want to touch it, but it has hot spots. These corners here, and by the way, Enzo makes knife handles in different shapes. You can get an oval like a Puko style, traditional style shape, which should hopefully be rid of these type of sharp corners, but for some weird reason I selected this. I like the idea, and on my knives I also sometimes add this shape here because it just helps grip the handle, right? And the handle, in terms of safety, this is a good design, but the execution, all they should have done is just rounded some corners off here. In out of the box condition, you can actually tear your skin on this if you kind of hit your hand or your wrist, your elbow on especially this side, very sharp. Also, I'm not sure that this is a good execution of a choil for sharpening, even though I mean, I would prefer something like this, or again something like this, but this is still plenty acceptable. Now, in terms of D2 and CPR comparison, this is a better steel, and higher wear resistance, more corrosion resistance, etc., and more expensive steel. Though Enzo have their own type of D2 steel they're working with. Well, when I mean their own, they don't produce it. I believe they use a German steel. I might be wrong, but I know that their D2 is supposed to be better than your regular D2 steel. So again, even though this is a beautiful knife and I like it visually, if I was to select one, I would select this one. In terms of price, again, I'll pop up the pricing on the Enzo trappers, but they're more expensive significantly too, about 50 bucks maybe more expensive than this knife. And in this case, the sheath doesn't have a fire steel loop, but I'm aware that Enzo actually does sell that for $2 or $3 more. You can get one. I didn't have that option when I was purchasing this, but when I looked it up, they have it. Now, in terms of design and visual, again, this wins. The stitching is better. The fact that instead of just leaving this leather here, they decided to punch a hole through, and that's for if you want to tie it to your leg, or just in general tie it. And I'll get into the fact that you can actually tie this upside down without worrying that the blade will come out, which is not the case on the Enzo. The Enzo is in that sense dangerous. All you need is a bit of that and the knife comes out. This is not good out of the box. It should not be like this. And I tried once and did already kind of moisten the sheath, and I put it under the same foam, special foam that I make my Kydex sheaths in. So it's a specific foam made for this type of work. But it kind of helped for a while. It would not be so easy, but now it is loose again, as you can see, right? Not much effort. Disappointing. Yes, there are workarounds. I can do more, you know, pre-pressing, etc. on the on this area, but still you won't reach the level of this tightness. So let me demonstrate. When this goes in, I have to put pressure down, and that's the depth of insertion. A bit deeper than the Enzo, but it's very tight. There is no way this is coming out. And the other knife, and I haven't gotten to this knife yet, this knife, you have to struggle to get it in. It takes a lot of force. Again, it stops at the end, almost full insertion, a deep insertion, and I mean, it takes a lot of force to get this knife out. So beautiful sheath construction, but it doesn't end there. Next benefit that this sheath has over the Enzo sheath or the other sheaths that I'll get into here later, even more expensive than the Enzo's, is it has a plastic insert in here. It has a drainage hole. We don't have a drainage hole on the Enzo, and we do not have an insert in the sheath. And that's, I mean, it's thick leather, don't get me wrong, it is good quality leather, but if it had an insert, then it would be sturdier and would stop, would have that clicking stop as this sheath does. When the plastic insert or the scales reach that insert, that's as far as it can go, and it cannot damage the leather from inside. So once this goes in, done. There is no way to push this through because of that insert. If now both of them have very nice belt loops, right? Beautiful. While this belt loop functionally is better thought out than this one. And again, this is a beautiful one, but square, right? So it doesn't have as much movement. When you have this on a dangler, the idea is that you want this to dangle and be able to kind of twist it around and put your sheath in a various positions to get the knife out, to get it in, etc. You don't want this very sturdy. What they have thought of is adding instead of a square, a round one, so a round ring here, and also going as far as, if I can show you here, they've cut this groove, not grooves, but made this area thinner, so that aids in having this slide around. This is an extremely well thought out leather sheath that I don't have an equivalent to. And as I said, I have expensive knives with leather sheaths. So same technology applies to their other knife. And by the way, I should specify, this fire steel I made myself, so it doesn't come, this doesn't come with a fire steel. You can put your own in there. Let me put that away for now. The quality of the leather is the next thing that I would like to touch on. First of all, it is very thick leather, as you can see. Obviously, this is full grain leather. It's not top grain and coated or somehow improved upon their natural quality. So very thick leather. Let's compare. It is thicker, as you can see, than the Enzo leather, and this already is thick and good quality full grain leather, but not as thick, and actually a bit harder. This is very soft and just nice to work with. Beautiful quality, very soft leather. By the way, I have not put any conditioner on any of these leather sheaths yet, but I do plan to do that sometime. But these are as they come out of the box, plus my own wear put on them. So it is better than the Enzo quality. It is better than their design, and obviously these are all my subjective opinions, and if you have your own opinions and views, please, I would very much appreciate engagement. Please comment, ask questions, and don't hesitate basically to express your experience and your opinions. Let me get into the comparison with Bark River. I already showed you the Tops knife and how it compares. I showed you the and this is United States. This is a Danish knife, the Enzo Scandinavian knife. Again, beautiful quality, but cannot compare to this, costs more. And now let's get into the Bark River. This is the Bravo 3, and I believe the largest out of the Bravo line. It's a huge sword rather than a knife. I love the knife, I love the design, and yes, unfortunately there are flaws, there are gimmicks. Sorry. One thing that I wanted to mention is this is a total gimmick. This is a waste of material because this thing sucks at striking fire steel. It just completely sucks. There's only one position you can do it in. Why limit? And this is Brothers of Bushcraft, specific for bushcrafting. This I wouldn't call a gimmick, but it's not a necessity, especially when you have a good tip on your knife. You can quickly do this, but it saves you time. So okay, fine, that's sure nice. And from what I understand, you can also take apart bullets with this here lanyard hold and the brass insert, but you can also do the same with this. Yeah, there are lanyard holds that are significantly smaller like that, and you won't be taking any bullets apart with that lanyard hole. But yeah, this is a total gimmick. I wouldn't do this, as I said, and I think that for a bushcraft knife this is just too much of a finger guard, and the distance between your actual hold, it doesn't end here. This is where you have leverage, like on this line, and sorry, I was out of camera, and this is too much of a distance between your pressure leverage point and the cutting edge. So I can't say that this is a perfectly thought out knife for bushcrafting, and this is another gimmick. Because yes, this is a useful addition, but the way the execution is, this should be wider, and these corners here are a bit sharp for use, so it should be wider and more rounded off for better use. So there's plenty of gimmicks. Now the bark river here costs it cost me, and I'll look up and pop up a price for this now here on the screen, but I paid 350 USD for this. It is this huge tank, and fully well, obviously fully, but this is 3V steel, and it is done by obviously Bark River company. So are there flaws on the knife? Yes, and there are actually plenty. I don't know why they have this, but if you look at the line here, it is narrower in this area and wider in this area. The transitions are not as defined as they should be or could be, as they are on other knives. For example, look at that crisp line coming along. Now I understand this is more difficult to do on, this is a convex, so starting from here on down, this is convex, and doing a convex grind with this sharp corner would be basically impossible. Fine, but this is not proportional. The line should come at least straight. It goes out, meaning the edge here is narrower and wider here, and that is not part of the design. A little less, more pronounced on this side, but same issue. Also, if you have a good eye, these edges here are not ground ideally evenly on both sides. They're just not. This thing here is a gimmick, a complete gimmick here. Because if you want to use this as a leverage point to put pressure down in a close-up grip here, fine, but in that case this area should be moved up here, right? This bump should be over here, so I can put down pressure towards the cutting edge. Instead it is here, and this corner sorry, this corner just digs into your thumb and is just painful. So not an ideal execution. Is the handle good? It is perfect. The handle shape is perfect, I mean, but there are again some tiny flaws in the manner of execution. There are no edges here, it's fine, but in terms of designing the scales on the knife and executing all this, for example, let me try to show you. This is what I'm talking about. You see this finishing, this flat area, and then there's another one on this side, and that's just it shouldn't be there. It should go all the way rounded off, but they couldn't because of this thing here. They couldn't round that off, and that's another reason why they should have moved this up actually. But the handle overall it's a magnificent handle, and I really like this execution. It's a nice design. It's an additional lanyard hole. It has 2 lanyard holes. Actually it has plenty of space for another lanyard hole somewhere here. That would be another good idea, because that way you can have a retainer coming from here to here, and a protector from both sides from sliding this out. Anyway, so there are flaws on these very expensive and highly regarded knife brand. Do I like it? Yes, I love it. I love the design, and overall I like the knife, but it kind of opens up your eyes when you see something like this for a third of the price. This is third of the price of this, and yeah, sure, 3V, huge, and US produced, so the cost of labor obviously is significantly higher in the States, hence the price tag. Let's get into the leather. This leather sheath does not come close to any of the Enzo, or especially this one. The quality, I'm not talking about the color, but okay, so the full grain is different. It's a different quality. It's more papery feeling. I'm sure it is natural leather. It looks, smells, and feels like natural leather and full grain leather, but the quality is different, the thickness is different. It is actually soft leather, so that's nice to see. It does not have an insert, and by all means, for a large knife like this should have some sort of a elastic, sure, flexible, but still insert at least on one, if not on both sides, but it doesn't. Also, this retaining belt or loop is very badly thought out, even though they did this little design here where when you unclick this, it's supposed to go here, and that will hold it, and you kind of slide your knife out, but still you have to be careful not to cut on this edge. I shouldn't have to worry about that kind of stuff, and you know, if you're making a knife sheath and I'm paying $350 for this knife, you see how that caught on, this thing, the edge catches on, and it just doesn't work, and you have to figure out that, does it go in like that, or am I supposed to do this, or so forth. No, you're actually supposed to put it in fully and close it down, and once you do that, it doesn't come out. It is in there securely, relatively, but not a good retaining system. It should have the scale going in about that deep and then being tight around it. And there's different ways of doing that, but this is not an it's a good sheath. And when I received, again, no draining hole either, no dangling system, so a very simple execution of a leather sheath. Does not come anywhere close to this quality, and is 3 times more expensive. And when I say that, sure, smaller Bravos, let's compare this to a Bark River bushcraft knife. The Bravos are about 150 to 200% of the price tag of this one. And again, the leather execution of the knife, the quality control is not comparable. This is significantly higher. There is no proportion, out of shape issues here. Everything is done perfectly, thought out perfectly. It has no hot spots. So let me, during the review, I'll actually put this away, this one, as I've already reviewed this plenty and showed you plenty, and I'll work with the other knife that is produced by the same company. So this one, this is a workhorse because of the handle. Think of the gunny, the Bark River gunny, that is a bit smaller and shorter, but still gives you that beautiful, fabulous handle. Same story here. Very good handle, and short but very strong and capable blade, again with a full convex grind. You hold this knife in, and I mean the amount of leverage that you can put on here, is incredible, and that is all due to the shape of the handle. Okay, as I said, the leather sheaths, sorry, the leather sheaths are identical. This is just smaller in size and is missing a fire steel loop. The knife is made out of N690 steel, and as you know, that's a good stainless steel for knives, and is an expensive knife steel. So the price should be high, or would be high, if this was sold in Europe or in the States. And again, this is about $100 knife. I showed you the Enzo, showed you the Bark River comparison. Let me now, again, sticking with the highest, say, US standard. I don't want to say Western, because there's really nice knife producers in Europe that are actually on a different level and a different QC level, let's say. So this is a Bark River knife, and it looked nothing like this when I received it. It had a very bad handle, actually, very thin for this huge choking knife. This is a CPM 154 stainless steel, which is a very nice stainless steel, but as you can see, it has a huge knife blade, but it had a very thin handle. So it was impractical. I upgraded the scales, did a different convex grind, as it had a straight grind. It was a flat ground at the edge, so I changed that to convex, and now I use the hell out of this knife, and has 0 hot spots, everything round, your usual Coke shape handle. And again, the sheath was upgraded. I really did not like the original factory sheath on this. This one is significantly better. So the knife, just like the other Bark River, the issues, and why I'm showing this, is to compare the quality of execution. Again, these edges and their proportionality are off on the sides, and how this corner meets the edge and how that corner meets the edge are different, and details like that matter. If you look at it from the top view, it may not be visible here, but I assure you there are noticeable differences. There's some lubrication on this, so don't think that it's dirty, it's just lubricated. So here's another Bark River knife where I had to upgrade the handle, spent plenty of time and resources on this, and had to upgrade the sheath. I'm not supposed to, or I shouldn't be doing that with a knife that costs over $200, and the knife company that is regarded as class leading, etc. So another knife that is twice the price of this is this DLT trading sister company or daughter company called Ambush Alpha. This is Ambush Alpha field knife. I don't believe these are available anymore. They had a couple of runs from these. They were sold on DLT Trading and maybe a couple of other retailers, but overall a very nice knife. But the quality, for example, look at the edge, the sharpening edge, and it is significantly wider here and narrower here, even though all along the lower part of the edge it is fairly similar, but you get to the point and you see how much wider that is. I have not touched the edge on this blade since I bought it. This is 3V steel, and when I bought it, which was way back, a few years back, the 3V steel knives were a bit more expensive than what they are now. the handle I had to upgrade, and I have a video if you want to look at it, the upgrades that I've done. But I've had to mess with the handle. It was unusable, otherwise would give you severe hot spots. And not much done. Well, yes, I had to also upgrade the way that the sheath wears. It has a out of the box, it has a very short loop and a Kydex fixed sturdy loop, and that loop ends here, meaning it wears about this level, and this digs in. It is not sharp cornered, it's done well, rounded off, but still it is still, and this side digs into your ribs. So what I did was changed it to a horizontal carry. So I had to mess with this knife. It has some quality flaws. For example, like look at this shape, and then look at this shape. You see how it's different. The edge comes up more on this side and ends here, and it doesn't do the same rounding on this side as it does here. So I understand that these are hand ground blades, and that's the beauty of them, but you're charging me significantly more for this, where this is just perfect. And the way you can measure that is in this area. If you look at this area and then you look at the other area as well, because otherwise it doesn't have a line that you can inspect, etc. So you're looking at how even it is, and this choil kind of also helps hide the mistakes during grinding, but there is nothing to hide here. Look at the, I'll try to look. Let me try to zoom in. Okay, just change the camera. You see how perfectly grounded it is if you look at it this way. This one is also ground well. But yeah, looking at the bark river, this is not the same quality of grinding, you see. And as a bonus, I'll now throw in another knife that is actually even cheaper than these knives. This company that I'm about to show actually emphasizes more on quantity rather than quality, but they have really good quality steel and very good designs and good knives. This is a PGK steel, PGK steel Senpai, PGK steel. So comes with a Kydex sheath, comes on a Tanto shape, and a very nice rubberized and very ergonomic handle with this exposed part of this end of the tang, and a nice lanyard hole in there, a very prominent finger protector and a finger groove here. And overall, as I said, this is rubberized and rather soft, very grippy regardless of conditions, and it would be great in hot or cold, wet or dry. And this here groove adds stability and increases your grip. Overall, very nice proposition for the price. This is about $90 to $110 depending on where and how you get it. But I like this knife so much that I actually got a blank. You can get blanks, you can get scales separately, but I got a blank that I plan to do a knife build video on shortly. So if you're interested, please subscribe, and that content will be coming shortly. So this knife is coming from the same place as the other two knives. Is a bit cheaper, but still a great proposition, a great offer, and better than, in terms of the pricing, etc., better than the Western competition. So why am I shooting this video? I'm doing this so that hopefully all of us knife enthusiasts benefit from increased quality and improved designs. For example, there is not many knife companies, and I haven't seen any Western knife companies that do something like this. 3D. Again, this is not handwork. Yes, it involves a laser, but it's beautiful and very, very practical. What I've seen from Western companies is this, and I on this particular knife I had to round off the corners, etc. So that's disappointing. But what this is inspiring, and I'm showing this to demonstrate what the reality is, what the competition is, and I will make sure to send the link to the video to the Bark River, because I have a few of their knives. I know that they appreciate feedback, and they're communicable, basically. And they're always working on new designs and upgrades and improvements. So that is the idea. I will also send the video to Tops, because I think it's important to know and understand what is out there and what is the competition. Again, these are not the only knives. This is another knife, and they produce a number of companies produce very, very nice knives for the price. Based on what I've researched, I believe that these are the best mass-produced knives from that area. The director of the company is actually himself an expert on knives, and puts a great amount of thought into his designs, and all I can say is I appreciate that very, very much. So I will keep monitoring on what these guys do next, and probably if I do spend any more money on bushcraft knives and full tang and strong blade knives, as I like to concentrate on, I'll probably be spending my money on this rather than higher priced but lower quality and QC knives coming from the larger brand names. Thank you very much for sticking with me so long. I hope that the content has been interesting, and please subscribe and stay tuned for more content like this. Have a good one.